If you feel like you're typically the Betty Lou Who of your family and amongst your friends, then this is the episode for you. Welcome to This Yellow Farmhouse, a podcast by me, Dayna Dyer, a knitting designer and cozy living blogger from an 1834 farmhouse in Illinois. I'm a mom of 3 girls and a cinnamon roll enthusiast with a case of the cozies. This Yellow Farmhouse is for my fellow lovers of all things cozy and for those seeking a simpler, slow life. Welcome to episode 1 of This Yellow Farmhouse. This is technically episode 5 of the Farmhouse Knitting Podcast, but I now actually have the audio version on all your favorite podcast player apps, so I had to start over from 1 so that when I do show notes, it's not episode 1 on Spotify and episode 5 on YouTube, and I think that would add a lot of confusion. So starting from 1 today. Today I'm knitting my second sock of the A Little Hocus Pocus socks by This Handmade Life, and I'll post all the links down below. So today, you guys, I'm so excited to share with you my 5 tips for slowing down and simplifying your holidays. So we all need to slow our roll a little bit during the holidays. We need to enjoy the season and really stop making ourselves an afterthought as moms and put everybody else first and be the hot mess. And then you're so in it, you blink and it's all over. So if you've seen the movie How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version, you'll remember that Betty Lou Who is Cindy Lou Who's mom. And she's the one who's literally up on the rooftop going crazy with the Christmas lights, and she's like unscrewing bulbs from the refrigerator just so she can outshine literally her next door neighbor. And she's just kind of constantly peeking over the fence, making sure she's really keeping up with it all. She goes to crazy lengths for Christmas and for their family to have good memories, and she has totally good intentions, as we all do, but she's really over the top and she's definitely a hot mess. So she's the perfect example of someone who really needs to slow her roll. She's like the extreme version. But listen, I get it. Like, I want to make the most of the season. Christmas is my favorite time of the year. For a lot of people, it's the same way, and it's exciting. And when you're a mom, we just want to make memories for our kids and have them have a good experience. And we kind of take those feelings that we remember from Christmas growing up and really want to give that to them, but like times 100, because that's what we do as moms. We want the best for our kids and for our families. But guess what? Our kids don't need as much as we think that we do. They don't need constant parties to go to. They don't need to constantly go have hot cocoa with their favorite Disney character every weekend. And they actually benefit from slowing down because they're able to enjoy the season a little bit more too. Our kids are usually a lot happier than we think they are. And I mean, they're happy wearing the same thing every day if we let them. Very happy. And I don't know, do you remember Christmas as a kid? Because for me, it seemed like Christmas break lasted like 3 months long. It seemed like we were out of school for forever. And everything just felt so grand and like way bigger than it is now. It seems like, and I know this isn't true because my mom had 4 kids and there's no way she was doing this and staying sane, but it seemed like we would bake like 20 different varieties of cookies each Christmas season. And I know that's not true. Like, that's crazy to try to do that. But as a kid, like, that's what sticks in your mind. It seems like snowstorms were blizzards every time. When you made an igloo, you're like for me, I try to explain when I would make an igloo and I explain to my kids, and then thinking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, it was tiny. Like, kids can't shovel that much snow. But to the kids, it's like simple, happy memories are what last. And the little things for kids are the big things. And so we put all this effort into creating these memories and making it be the best time of year for our families and for ourselves. But really, we can scale it back for sure. Okay, so how can we avoid finding ourselves unplugging fridge light bulbs so we can add just one more light to our house? All right, so let's chat about how to slow your roll this holiday. So the first thing that I recommend is plan early. And the second part of that, don't forget the second part of that, is finish early. So plan early, finish early. And the key is to start your list early, stick to it, and then close the book. Don't keep adding to that list all throughout December. It's really easy to do. When you're done with something early, you're kind of looking right and left and thinking that you kind of missed something. But really try to cap that list. Don't go into those apps. Don't open up Amazon. Don't open up those emails. Even unsubscribe yourself from some retail emails coming in. If you're truly done and you want to stay done shopping, then you really got to pull yourself out of the game. So what I do is I shop online. I try to do Amazon whenever I can. And this year I'm told we need to start shopping a little bit earlier anyway because of just shipping times and craziness. So yeah, shopping online, but then once you're done, you're done. You're not diving back in and thinking that we need to get more. Because even if you have really good intentions, there's a lot of influence around us for just more. And we think that like we're missing something. So stay out of stores. I shop for groceries at Trader Joe's. So if you're just at a grocery store, you should be good unless someone on your list might want pancake bread, then maybe avoid that aisle. Because here's the thing, if you give a task more time, you're gonna fill it all the way up. Somehow, even if it's a super short task, you're gonna take that time frame and instead of being like, okay, I'm done, what can I do that's like not related to this? You're gonna start adding things on because in your mind, you're starting to second guess yourself and be like, I'm done, but how can I be done? What did I miss? And then when we do that, we're adding excess. We're adding more gifts, more people to buy for, spending more money, and it's just chaos. So start planning now, then act by Cyber Monday and enjoy the rest of December with your family, just hanging out. So the second way to slow your roll this holiday is to freeze your cookie dough, which I just started doing, and I don't know why I haven't done it sooner, because you don't run out of ingredients on the day that you plan to make something, which if you have kids, we've all been there where you plan to make something and then last minute you realize you don't have enough eggs or you didn't get enough butter and there's going to be a meltdown. And with freezing the dough and then baking it on a different day, if you find out you don't have the ingredients to actually make that dough, it isn't the end of the world. And especially for kids, because you weren't planning to eat that cookie dough that day anyway. You weren't planning to actually have the cookies be done. And so it's all about working smarter and not harder. And instead of having all these ideas of what you want to bake and letting it all build up to one weekend and then just plan to have one master baking weekend, you don't know what's going to be thrown your way or who's going to get sick or just how other things are going to come up. It happens. So when you can take the time to prep ahead of time, you're less likely to run into a freak out when it's actually time to make these cookies. So all you do is you mix your dough like you normally would, and there's two ways to freeze it. You can either put it in gallon freezer bags as a giant dough ball, or you put them, if you're cutting it out or you roll it up into your balls, you put it on a cookie sheet, wait till it's frozen, and then put it in the bags. And then when you're ready to use it, you're just gonna stick it in the fridge for the day before, and it'll be good to go. When you're ready to bake them, you probably, I've noticed, need to use a little bit more flour, but they taste just as good, and it's way less stressful to get some of it done out of the way beforehand. So one thing I really love about freezing your cookie dough ahead of time is that when you have a stash of cookie dough in your freezer, it's really great for short notice, like let's make cookie days, where you weren't really planning to, but you found a good pocket of time for that to be something that could happen. You're not starting from scratch and you already have everything ready to go. So it's truly like, yeah, let's move on to the fun part and the decorating if you have kids. Another really good thing is that it can be a really fun play date activity if you're having friends come over or family come over, with other kids and you kind of want to have them have a little break from just playing and do something, you can pull out this thawed cookie dough and the baking is already done. If you have other kids in your house, there's not going to be as big of a mess or just too many cooks in the kitchen, everyone wanting to pour in ingredients, because that part's already done. So then the last thing is that once you have the cookie dough frozen, they make really good last minute, somebody got me a gift, but I don't know what to get them gifts, because we all have that happen where someone that we didn't mean to leave off the list or maybe we didn't have on the list gives you a present and you don't know what to get them. And it's short notice and, maybe money's a factor. Well, the hardest part is already done. You have cookie dough, you're ready to pop it in the oven, and you can go bring it over to them. All right, the third way to simplify your holidays, to slow your roll, is to keep handmade gifts in check, because I know this is really hard for me. I'm a crafter, but the thing is, it's really easy to want to give everybody a gift that you made because it's from the heart and it's really special to you, but it's easy to lose track of time and not be realistic about how much time you have or how much money you have to put into that. If you are going to do handmade gifts, obviously start early. But one thing that I noticed, and a couple years ago, I decided I was going to make hand knit socks for everybody on my list. And I did. It was actually really relaxing to sit and knit every night and be thinking and planning who I was making these socks for. And for the most part, it went over really well. And for the people who maybe didn't love it as much, it's because I didn't put into consideration that maybe that wasn't their gift receiving love language. So when there's a gift exchange, there's the gift giver and the gift receiver, and both of you have your own different love language. And it's important to ask yourself, are you doing this for yourself or are you doing this for them? Because some people just want what's on their list. Maybe handmade gifts aren't their thing. Their love language is more the feeling of opening something that they really wanted. Like if you can bring yourself back to childhood and remember that feeling when you opened a present and it was like the one thing that you really, really, really wanted that year and you got it. Like for some people, that's the feeling they want every time they get a gift. And I know I'm for sure going to say everyone should be completely grateful for any gift they get. But there are those people on our lists that we get something for where you don't get maybe the most polite reaction from. So instead of giving a handmade gift to everyone, try to think about it in a person-by-person case. And so, do they like surprises? Or are they more of a, like, just send me what I sent you from the link I sent you. So if this person sent you a link, they're probably the kind of person who's like, just get me that. Like, there's no fluff. Let's just do this. And they might not be the kind of person who wants a handmade gift. And for me, who's really into crafting, and I knit a ton, that can be a hard pill to swallow because it's easy to take it personally and just be kind of like, yeah, just take it personally. But like I said, you really have to take yourself out of the equation. Think of why you're doing that. Why do you want to make this handmade gift? Is it because you think it's going to go over really well and it's going to be something that somebody really enjoys? Or are you doing it because you want to, I don't know, have kudos to you for making a handmade gift, or you want a compliment over it, or if you really just like making handmade things? And so that's a hard thing. I'm not saying no handmade gifts because, like I said, I'm a crafter. I do handmade gifts, but just across the board, everybody gets a handmade gift. We got to keep it in check and make sure that we have really good intentions. So when I was thinking of this, I had the quote, and I don't know the exact quote, but I had the quote from David Rose on Schitt's Creek pop into my head, and it was like, when they're planning the game night, it's David and Stevie, and they're sitting there planning game night because they need another person. And David Rose is kind of like, do they get it? But do they like get it? And Stevie's kind of like, do they get what? And he's like, well, like, do they get it? The vibe. And for some reason that was popping up into my head, like, somebody who's getting a handmade gift really needs to get it. Like, they need to they have to be the right person for it. Because also some people are asking for something because they can't afford to get it themselves. And by getting them a gift that's off of their list, it can simplify their life. It can save them money, and it certainly makes whatever they had to actually get be not on their to-do list anymore. So yeah, some people give a list for a reason. Some people say, surprise me. Some people give a list, but they do like some surprises. So you really have to know the person that you're gifting to. So number 4 on how to simplify your holidays is to stop overscheduling your weekends. And this is something I really struggled with until I physically had to kind of remove myself from the busy and the hustle and bustle, and we moved to the country. But the thing is, it's really easy to schedule these things with family and friends, and then when you're actually looking at the calendar, like something pops up and you're like, oh yeah, I can do that. I can go to that, no problem. But then when you're actually looking at it all laid out at the calendar, you realize you don't have a single weekend between Thanksgiving and Christmas that's open, and you're completely booked. So I don't actually do any friend get-togethers anymore. 2 years ago, I did a knit night, which was a bunch of friends coming over. It was really hard to schedule because obviously it's hard to find a date in December that everyone can do. So from now on, I don't do anything after Friendsgiving. And really, family time gets first priority. So if you can, try to take an entire December weekend off. Don't work on your to-do list. Don't secretly be wrapping or thinking of the things you need to do. Try to just focus on family time, and it really just forces you to pause. And having a weekend with nothing to do can feel marvelous. And I know this year we've had a lot of weekends with nothing to do, but when it gets to a busier time of year, it's kind of like a welcome calm and rest. So then on the weekends that you do have plans, try to schedule your family parties, friend parties, whatever get together you're doing, so that it's just one day for the weekend. So if you have something going on Saturday, do that, but then leave Sunday open. Don't schedule another get-together on Sunday also. That just kind of gives you a little time to recover and, again, do little things. You just need a little bit of downtime in between it all. So in our family, we limit to 4 get-togethers outside of our actual immediate family's Christmas on Christmas morning. We go to we do something with my dad's side, my mom's side, my in-laws, and then we get together with my parents and my siblings and their families. So those are the 4 things that get priority outside of actually Christmas morning, and anything outside of that, if it's, like I said, if something else comes up and I already have something going on that weekend, even if it's the other day of the weekend, I say no. If I just feel like saying no, I say no. And I feel like we need to give ourselves permission to do that. You don't need to have a reason. You can just say no. This doesn't feel right. It's too much. We don't need to fill every nook and cranny of the season. If you need a vacation from your vacation, then I think you're doing too much. All right, the last way to simplify your holidays, number 5, is by creating home stations. And if you don't know what home stations are, it's basically when you group together what you need for certain tasks in your house. So for example, a coffee bar where you have your mug and your coffee machine and all your coffee implements in one area, that's a home station. That's your coffee bar. You can do this also with things like an entryway with a bench and keys and coats and all that. And some things are they just naturally become home stations. But some things, especially at Christmas, we really need to designate a spot and give something a home. So at Christmas time, I notice that we get a lot of clutter with gift wrap and presents that we bought that might be kind of secret. They're not wrapped yet. And then presents that we have already wrapped. It's kind of like this weird present limbo. So you just need to think about where, it doesn't need to be a secret, an out-of-the-way spot. that you need to put these presents somewhere that you're not going to add confusion and mix up different presents with, presents going to so-and-so with presents going to another state. And the way I do that is I open Amazon boxes as they come, and I will actually put them with the gifts that are also going to the same place. So Amazon comes, I open it, I celebrate, I have glee, and then I use those reusable bags that you can get at like the checkout at Joann's or TJ Maxx or whatever. And I'll have one of those giant bags for going to my in-laws and one bag for each different scenario where I need to bring gifts. And even before wrapping, I'll put whatever comes from the Amazon box, I'll pull it out, stick it straight in that bag. So that way, even though I haven't sat down and wrapped it, it's actually simplifying when I need to wrap it for later. And it's also making sure I don't forget anything, because I had a friend who forgot to give her sister-in-law her gift because it was in an unopened box of stuff that was actually, the rest of the box was all stuff for her husband. But she totally forgot it was like one small part, but like an important part. She totally forgot it was in that box. And she got together with them before before Christmas, I guess, and like didn't even think anything of it. In her mind, she's like, oh yeah, that box, that's for my husband. I don't have to touch it. I'm good. Well, no, she forgot to check her receipts. Also, have you tried, like if you Christmas wrap on Christmas Eve, have you tried quietly opening an Amazon box? Because I'm pretty sure there's no way to do this. Opening any box is really loud. And on Christmas Eve, especially if the kids have not fallen asleep yet and they're like in that waiting to fall asleep period, and if they're old enough to be like listening out for Santa and stuff, you don't want to be messing with the boxes and all the bubble wrap and stuff. So I take these reusable bags that are going to all the different places and I leave them unwrapped until it's closer to whenever it's happening and whenever I'm able to sit down and wrap them. And then I'll wrap them and I'll stick them right back in that bag. And then everything has its place. When it's time to go, I just bring that bag with us. So I hope this helps you guys simplify your holiday and avoid becoming Betty Lou Who if you tend to be that way during this season. And I hope you really just feel encouraged to be a little more intentional with your holiday this year. So thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Stay cozy.